Everyone around you thinks you've made it. You raise the round. You're hiring. Your name's in the press. You're sitting in that glass office, surrounded by people calling you founder. And somehow, this is the worst you've ever felt. Here's the part nobody tells you about building a startup. The more successful it gets, the harder it gets. Not just harder to run, harder to live with. Because at every single level of growth, a new version of pressure is waiting for you. Most founders tell themselves a comforting lie. Once I close this round, things will calm down. Once I hit this milestone, I'll finally breathe. But here's the truth. It never calms down. It just changes shape. The problems don't disappear. They evolve into something heavier, something more complex, something you can't easily explain to anyone outside your position. Today, I'm going to walk you through what life actually looks like at every stage of the startup journey, and why the higher you climb, the more it quietly takes from you. And by the end, you'll understand something most founders only realize after it's already cost them too much. Let's start at the beginning. Level 1, early stage. Pre-everything. No product, no team, no money. Just you, an idea, and chaos. And here's the strange part. This might actually be the best it ever feels. Not because it's easy. It's not. Around 42% of startups at this stage fail simply because they build something nobody wants. The financial pressure is real. You're draining savings, doing everything yourself, going weeks, sometimes months, without a paycheck. But there's one thing that makes it bearable. You have total freedom. You make every decision. You choose what to build. You control the direction. There's no 1 second guessing you. No one sitting across the table with leverage over your choices. And that freedom, that's the thing you'll spend the rest of your journey slowly giving away. Piece by piece, decision by decision, until one day you realize the company you created now requires permission for the very moves you used to make instinctively. Now this is where things start to shift. Level 2, you raise money. Congratulations. You closed a round. Investors believe in you. You finally have capital. But here's the catch. You didn't just gain money. You gave something up. You handed over a piece of your company and a piece of your control. And you don't get either of them back. Most people misunderstand venture capital. It's not just funding, it's expectations. Growth targets, board meetings, reporting structures, constant updates. Suddenly, the thing you built from nothing has new stakeholders, people with a very different definition of success. Their job? Generate a 10x return. Your job used to be to build something meaningful. Now, you have to do both. At the same time. And they don't always align. And when they don't, you're the one caught in the middle, trying to satisfy both sides without breaking the company. And this is where tension starts creeping in. Studies show over 89% of founders are unhappy with their board of directors. Think about that. Nearly 9 out of 10 founders don't fully trust the people sitting at their own table. But even that isn't the hardest part. The hardest part is what starts happening inside you. Level 3, you're growing. Headcount is up. Revenue is climbing. From the outside, you look like a success story. But here's where most people get it completely wrong. Growth doesn't make things easier. Growth makes everything harder, faster. There's a concept called the Penrose effect. When one part of your company scales quickly, everything else starts to strain. You get capital, but not the experience to deploy it perfectly. You hire fast, but culture starts slipping. You add layers, and suddenly communication breaks. You hire 50 people in 6 months, and just like that, your job changes. You're not building anymore. You're managing people. Who manage people? Who do the work? And somewhere along the way, something shifts. You stop feeling like a founder and start feeling like an executive. And nobody warned you that transition was coming. And definitely nobody trained you for it. So you learn in real time, through mistakes, pressure, and consequences that now affect dozens of people, not just you. Now this is where it gets deeper. Because once growth takes your control, it starts taking something else. Level 4. The loneliness. More than 55% of CEOs report experiencing anxiety, depression, or burnout. That's not a small number. That's the majority. But here's why it happens, and almost nobody sees this coming. As you rise, people stop being honest with you. Think about it. The people around you depend on you. Their salary, their growth, their future. So slowly, subtly, they start filtering the truth. They tell you what you want to hear, not what you need to hear. Every conversation starts carrying an agenda. Every relationship becomes slightly transactional. Even casual conversations begin to feel calculated, like there's always something underneath the surface. And this is where it gets dangerous. Research calls it an information cutoff. You're surrounded by people, but starved of real truth. And at the same time, startup culture expects something from you. You have to be strong, certain, decisive. You can't show doubt. You can't show cracks. So even when things feel heavy, you perform strength, which means you're not just lonely. You're pretending not to be lonely in front of people who rely on you. But here's what makes it even worse. It doesn't just affect your mind. It starts hitting your body. Nearly 87.7% of entrepreneurs report struggling with at least one mental health issue. Over half deal with anxiety. A third experience burnout. 1 in 5 faces clinical depression. But the physical signs show up first. Sleep breaks. You wake up at 4 a.m. thinking about burn rate. Caffeine becomes survival. Exercise disappears. Eating gets worse. You're working 50, 60, sometimes 70 hours a week. And even when you're not working, your mind doesn't switch off. Your body becomes the first thing you sacrifice. And usually, the last thing you try to fix. Now this is where things get really uncomfortable. Level 5. The exit trap. Let's say you make it. You've scaled. You've survived. The company is worth something real. On paper, you've won. But here's the reality behind the scenes. Venture funds don't think like you. They need massive outcomes, billion-dollar exits, to justify their investments. So a $20 million acquisition, which could completely change your life, might not even be considered. Your board could say no. They'd rather risk everything for a bigger outcome than let you walk away with something meaningful. Because to them, it's a portfolio decision. To you, it's years of your life. And that moment, when you realize your company isn't fully yours anymore, when your vision becomes a financial instrument, that's when it hits. Quietly, gradually, but deeply. And by the time you feel it, it's already been true for a while. So here's what you need to understand. The problem isn't that you're weak. The problem isn't that you made bad decisions. The problem is structural. At every level, the system trades something from you. Your autonomy for scale, your health for growth, your clarity for complexity. And nobody maps this out before you start. The founders who actually survive this, not just financially, but mentally, do things differently. They stop treating rest like a reward and start treating it like survival. They build real peer networks, people who tell them the truth. They define success early, before investors define it for them. And most importantly, they stay aware of what they're sacrificing so it doesn't happen unconsciously. One founder said it bluntly, "I'm 62 years old, and something has to change, or this will kill me." He's not alone. He's just honest. So here's the question you need to ask yourself. You know the level you're at. You know what it's already costing you. And the truth is, it will get harder. The only real question is what you're building worth what you're paying? If it is, keep going, but do it differently. Do it smarter. And stop wearing burnout like it's a badge of honor. And if you want to understand what each stage actually looks like, operationally, strategically, and how founders survive it, there's a video right here that breaks it all down. Go watch it. It might save you more than just time.